Good day, friends. It is me, HLModTech, and a user asked for a robot. I've got an idea, so let's get cracking. Alright friends, so my plan is to make one that can also be cut on a laser cutter because we have a ton of fun using the laser cutter to make cardboard things in class, and I think a cardboard movable robot would be pretty darn sweet. And if you use that share button, even if you're out on the internet, you can share your design with me, and maybe I will choose to cut your design out at a future date. So the first step is to hit create new design. Let's start at the top and name it robot, and of course put our initials after it. And then because we've got a chance to use a laser cutter, we want to change these measurements to 480 by 280. And this is the size of my Glowforge bed, so it tells you how large you can actually make your parts that we assemble to make the robot in the end. So let's start with a foot, and I'm going to do that with a cube. When we work with projects for laser cutters, we always set it to 4 millimeters thick because that's how thick my cardboard is. I'm going to pull this foot forward a little bit, and I'm going to choose a size of 50 for how big his foot is. I'm also going to take the width, and instead of 20, I'm going to make it 35. I think that's going to be a decent size for a robot foot. We need 2 of these, so I'm going to do Control D, and I'm going to move it across. I'm also going to use the awesome Shift nudge to go 10 millimeters at a time, and I'm going to put that much gap between the 2 legs. I want a second chunk on top, so I'm going to do Control D, and then I'm going to use the work plane and hit the letter D to drop that one to the next height. So there'll be 2 layers on my foot. I'm going to do Control D. Let's do that Shift nudge to move it over. Set the work plane back to the ground, and I'm just going to align those with the Align tool. It's good to practice having everything aligned because it'll make you more efficient as you work. We're going to make it so this ankle can hinge by using a round roof. I'm going to bring the round roof out. I want to rotate it 90 degrees so that way it's going to sit up here. We're going to make it 4 millimeters thick, and then I want this to be 30, and I want this to be 15 high. We're going to put this ankle back on this spot, and we're going to cut it in so that it stands firm. So let's bring out a hole box, and we want to take this and make it 4 millimeters thick because it's going to be cardboard style, and it's also going to be cardboard style here. So we're going to put 4 millimeters here, and then we're going to keep the length of 20 because that'll balance under here just fine. Let's do Control D and move this one over here and make it a solid, and because we've got 2 layers, we're going to change its height to 8. Real quickly, I'm going to put the work plane right here, grab our little ankle and hit D to drop. Let's select the 2 of them, click Align. We'll make the blue one the master, and we want it to be centered, and we want it to be centered. We'll take those 2 and group them. Alright friends, let's delete this one for a moment and just grab these 2. Let's click Align, click the back one, and we want it to be centered, and we want it to be to the back. I'm going to use Fit View so I can get to it quickly. And I want this center piece to be 10 millimeters in. Friends, if we do Shift arrow key, it is done. If we do Control G to group it, we have got that piece built. If we want a second one, which we do, we can hit work plane, Control D, and then if you hit the letter D and drop it, we have just got our 2 parts built. And this piece we can just drag in to where it's going to be. If we click Align, you'll see that that lines up just dandy. Because I want an exact copy, I'm going to delete those 2, do Control D, and let's do the Shift nudge to get them where they belong. We are going to hold our robot together with straws, so let's put the work plane on this shape right here. Bring out a cylinder, hold down Shift and shrink it, and we are going to type the number 6 because that's how large our straws are. I am going to Shift select on this blue one, and I want to make sure it's in the middle. So I'm making the blue one the master, and I'm choosing middle, and I'm choosing top. Now I'm going to move down 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, so I've got a spot to put my leg support. And then I'm just going to push this through. I can see it on both sides, so I'm going to group that. Control G is a shortcut for group. You can of course hit this. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to put the work plane on this edge because I love this trick. And if I do Control D and then the letter D to drop, boom, those are in place. Let's add a leg really quick. Once again, I'm going to do work plane. I'm going to bring out a cube. Of course, because it's going to be cardboard, we need to make it 4. You can start making choices like whether you want this on both sides or just one side. For simplicity, I'm going to make mine on just one side. I'm going to make this 50 high. And then we've got to make sure that we have it lined up. I like that. I think I'm going to go 15 wide so it's a little thinner. You may find out later if you build one of these that that's not enough strength. Real quickly, I'm going to click on the blue one, hold down Shift, click on the red one. Let's do a line, make the blue one the master, and I want to make sure I find that center right there. We need to cut out that same hole. So the way I'm going to do this is real quickly, I'm going to ungroup. I'm going to do Control D on the hole, and then I can just push this through the other part. If we look over here, you can see it pokes out really well. I'm going to get it right to the edge, and then if I hold down Shift and click on the red one, that will have grouped, and you can see the hole goes all the way through to the blue. And now we can click on the blue one, we can Shift Select, and we can group it as well. I'm going to do Control G, and now you can see we can see all the way through. That is lined up perfect, so our straw will be able to connect that. I want to move this leg to this side, so I'm going to hit work plane over here, do Control D, and press D to drop, and bang, we've got 2 lower legs. Let's quickly add our upper legs. I'm going to put them on the inside, the same as where our ankle is. I'm going to bring out another block. This one I'm going to make a little wider, just because it's like a thigh. So I'm going to do 30. I'm going to find this angle to make it cardboard thickness. And then I'm going to choose to make this one 45 high. Let's quickly center them by doing Shift Select. Let's click a line, make the lower leg the master, find that middle button, and I think that'll work as a decent place to have this hinged. Let's duplicate and drop. Alright friends, I want to make it so these can hinge as well. So what I'm going to do is hit work plane and go back down to the ground level, and I want this same hole at the top of this. So I'm going to ungroup it, and then with it ungrouped, I'm going to do Control D, and I want to move the second one up to the top. So right now I'm going to do Control Up, and just get it close. I like that. So now I'm going to grab those 3 parts, and the fastest way is to just hide this, select them, and then group them. I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to do Control D, and we want that copy of the new one we just made to be right there. And then when we do Show All, we've now got a place to connect our body. Alright friends, so with that in place, I want to quickly add a body. I'm going to do mine with a cube. When I bring it out, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I want to type in 50 for the size of it. Notice my leg does not quite fit. I'm going to move this up so it's easier to grab. Now I can grab all these pieces. I'm going to zoom in so I can see it better, and I'm going to just use the arrow key to nudge it out. Now, to set the work plane back on the ground makes this a little easier. Let's see if that's perfect. Nope, there's a gap of 1, so I can go back. That is the perfect place to have the body. And then I'm going to move the body so it's about 50-50. And I'm going to do Control Up arrow to raise it up so it connects right through those holes. So here, friends, I'm going to make the project a little more fun for you. So we've done the work on these movable legs. I'm going to let you have this body as one you can play with. So you can add eyes, you can add ears, you can add arms, you can add anything you want. One of my favorite ways to do that would be with scribble. So if I bring out a piece of scribble, I'm going to just quickly make a little eyelash. If you don't like what you do, you can just do undo. So I'm going to go back to my drawing tool, and here's my little silly eyelash that I'm going to give them. It is not fantastic, but you know what? It's mine, and that's all that matters. So there's my first eyelash. I'm going to move that up on the dude, and if I do Control D, I'm going to move it to the other side. I'm going to get these a little closer together, and then here's another cool trick. I'm going to do Shift Select on those two and group them, so that way when I select the big one, I can do a line and set it to the middle. So I'm going to take my cool little eyelashes, I'm going to make them black. You can add eyes. I'm going to go down to the cool eyes that I made in code blocks. Remember, they're on my shapes collection. And now they're on page 2 because I've made so many cool things. So I'm going to bring out my eyeball. It is aimed the wrong way, so I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. And then I'm going to use Control down to sink it in, just like that. Control D to make a second one, and move it across. If you haven't made the eyeballs, I will have a link up above that you can get to them. I'm going to give them a sweet scribble nose. So once again with that work plane, I'm going to go back to basic shapes. Here's my scribble. This will be my scribble nose. You can make your nose out of anything you want. I'm just choosing this. And I'm going to hit done. It needs to rotate 90 degrees. That's the wrong rotation. This one is the right rotation. Now if I were doing this out of cardboard, I'd have to do 4, but remember, for a moment I'm just doing this for fun. Remember, we're going to go back to the cardboard project, and now I'm also going to give him a scribble mouth. And this is just a super fun way to quickly decorate your awesome little robot. If you don't like what you did, just do undo and try again. Scribble is not perfect, but it is really fun. Control Z if you make a mistake, and then I'm gonna push this in so it sits like this. Alright, once again, scribble arms, have fun. Scribble hair, you can add all the cool pieces you want to make your robot awesome and fantastic. Don't forget, if you make something awesome, you can share it by generating a link, copying the link, and sending it to me at HLModTech on Facebook, Instagram, or Gmail. You can also just visit the HLModTech.com website and let me see your cool work from the messaging there as well. Alright friends, so if you are in my classroom and have a chance to laser cut this, or if you just want to build it for laser cutting out on the internet, let's bring this cube out, set it to 4mm thick, and let's drop it to the ground. I'm going to grab my whole robot and I'm going to move him to the edge so I have more room to play with this. And watch this. If we do Control D, we can put the work plane out on this edge and we can drop that piece to this edge, and we will have just made 2 of the 6 faces on this shape. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 if you go around it, 5 and 6 below it. I'm going to do Control D, and I'm going to drop the next one back here. So I'm hitting the work plane and doing D. So now I've got the front, the underneath, and the back. Let's put the work plane right here. I'm going to do Control D, and it dropped to this spot because it copied that movement. I'm going to just drop it in place. So right now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So we just done the middle of our cute little cube. Now I'm going to add the 2 sides. Once again, I'm going to select this one, do Control D. I want to put it right here. D is for drop. I want to take this one now. I'm going to click on it and do Control D. And I want to put it over here. So I'm going to put my work plane on this side. And I'm going to do D for drop. Alright friends, this is where it gets magical. Make sure you have got your work plane on top. Bring out your box. Hold down Shift, shrink it a little, type the number 4 and press Enter. Let's zoom in so we can see it better. And we are going to make it 1mm wide. And so it's easier to grab, we're going to make it 7mm tall, because this is just going to cut through anyhow. We want to move it right on the middle of that seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift and click on this piece, do a line, make this one the master, and I want to come to this edge. Now remember, it's 1mm thick, so watch this. All we're going to do is a 0.5mm, and if we nudge 1, it's right in the middle. Now we're going to do Control D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now if we do Control D again and again and again, it moves all the way across, and it's going to be a seam that allows us to bend this when we're finished. I want to grab all those real quick. The easiest way is to just hide these. So there's a hide and a hide. Now I can grab all of those and I can make them a group. I'm also going to set the work plane back to the ground and I'm going to hit D to drop them. When we click Show All, you can see they poke out, which is nice. And now I can do Control D. And I want to put them over here. Check this out. Work plane on the edge, D is for drop. I'll zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Remember that 0.5 millimeter nudge? If we put the work plane back on the ground, boom, those are in place. Now I want the same ability to bend right here. Friends, if we shift click, do Control D, rotate 90 degrees, they are almost perfectly lined up. I'm going to just click on this one and do a half nudge. And let's go double check this one. It needs the half nudge as well. So now when we group these, those will be able to bend when we're finished. We just need to do it out here as well. I'm going to grab this one and do Control D. I'm going to hide this end for a minute. And then I'm going to put the work plane right here. And then D is for drop. And boom, it is in place. Show all. Let's zoom in and make sure it split it perfectly. Where's my fit view? Right there's my fit view. And you can see we have to go one nudge the other way. Make sure you do your work plane so it's easier to just nudge. And just like that, we've got perforated edges. Before we do the final group, let's add the holes for the straws. Once again, bring out a cylinder, hold down Shift, and shrink it a little. We're going to type a number 6 for how big it's going to be. And then we need to line it up. I'm going to select those two, click Align. I'm going to make this one the master, and I want to go to the bottom edge and center. And then I'm going to Shift Nudge 1 centimeter in. Control D, move it to the other side. Shift Nudge gets it over there super fast. I'm going to select this one, hold down Shift, select the second one, do a line. We want to do a line with the big one being the master. And then when we click on that, it's Shift Nudge to get the exact same location. Now we've got them aligned. Let's put our work plane back to the ground. Hit D for drop so those both sink in where they're supposed to be. And when you group it, friends, you've got a box that's all ready for cutting out. So to send this to the laser cutter, we need to set this piece aside. And then we need to set all these pieces aside as well. I'm going to leave this guy assembled and just do Control D. I'm going to bring the second one over here. And real quickly, let's lay all the pieces flat. D is for drop. Use Shift Nudge to get them away from there. Click on this guy. I'll zoom in so I can see it better. I want to look at it from a corner because I can find those rotation handles. If you stay close to the shape, 90 degrees is faster. D is for drop. Shift Nudge to get them where I want. Once again, rotate 90 degrees. D is for drop. Shift Nudge to get them somewhere useful. And then these two are already in the right direction. D is for drop. And now I've got all my parts available. So then the next thing is to get it arranged so that it's a quick, frugal cut. And also keep track of how many of these you need. So since I need 2 of these, I'm going to select them both, do Control D, and Shift Nudge down below. I need 2 of these. I'm going to put them right here. Control D, Shift Nudge, Control D, Shift Nudge, I'm going to just put this one up here, and then we also need 2 of these, Control D and Shift Nudge. Friends, we have just made a fantastic little robot. It could be one that is just fun. It can also be one that is possibly laser cuttable. If you are in my class, remember you need to select it, hit export, and this goes as an SVG. When it pops up, when you save it, you always need to go to quick access, and then we've got the special STL folder so you can put your SVG in it. So friends, I hope you had a ton of fun with this cute little robot. If you make something awesome, don't forget, please take time to share it with me. I am at HLModTech on Facebook, Instagram, and Gmail. You can also find me at HLTinkercad on Twitter. Lastly, friends, you can also visit HLModTech.com and use the sweet built-in messaging to reach out to me as well. Friends, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you got a question, comment, or suggestion, add it down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button. And last but not least, hit that notification bell if you want to be the first to know when there's a brand new video from me, HLModTech. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.